A solid server puts in their 2 weeks. A reliable line cook ghosts you on a Saturday. You post the job, interview strangers, spend 3 weeks training someone new, and 6 weeks later, the whole cycle starts again. Sound familiar? Here's a number that should stop every restaurant operator cold. The average cost to replace a single restaurant employee is $5,864, not per month, per person. And with industry-wide annual turnover rates exceeding 75%, a 30-person team cycling through 22 replacements a year is looking at over $128,000 walking out the door. Before you even count the service damage, the morale hit, and the regulars who quietly notice. Most operators chalk this up to the nature of the industry. Hospitality has always had high turnover. That is just how it works. It is not inevitable, and today I'm going to show you 7 proven strategies that operators are using right now in 2026 to stop the revolving door without blowing up the labor budget. Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Copeland. I am the founder and CEO of HubPlate, the future of restaurant POS and restaurant management systems. If you are a restaurant operator, subscribe because this channel is for you. We post weekly, all kinds of great tips. So let's get into it. Section 1. Fix the schedule before you fix anything else. If you only make one operational change this year, make it this one. Inconsistent last-minute scheduling is one of the top reasons restaurant employees quit. When your hourly staff cannot plan their lives because the schedule drops 48 hours before the week starts, they leave. Not because they hate you, because they cannot arrange childcare. They cannot commit to a second job. They cannot plan their finances. Here's what the data says. 80% of workers report being more loyal when given schedule flexibility. And in a recent survey, restaurant workers ranked flexible scheduling second only to pay and what they value most about their current role. Not by a huge margin either. The fix is not complicated. Publish schedules at least 2 weeks out. Use AI-powered scheduling tools that pull from your actual historical sales data so your staffing levels reflect reality, not a guess. And give your staff a mobile way to view their schedules. Claim open shifts and swap without texting you at midnight. When the schedule is fair, predictable, and easy to access, people stop looking for a way out. Section 2. Understand why your people are actually leaving. Here's where most operators get it wrong. They assume everyone leaves for more money. The data tells a more complicated story. 62% of restaurant employees say lack of training would make them leave their company. 94%, nearly every single employee, say they would stay longer if their employer invested in their learning and development. Think about that for a second. You might be losing people not because you are not paying enough, but because you stopped training them after week 1. Beyond training, the major drivers are low wages and no benefits. Yes, but also burnout and poor work-life balance, no visible career advancement, and management issues. So what do you do with that? You actually ask. Run anonymous quarterly pulse surveys. Do exit interviews every single time someone walks. And track what they tell you. You cannot fix what you are not measuring. And you cannot retain people you do not understand. Section 3. Map a career path, even for hourly roles. One of the most powerful retention tools in this industry costs almost nothing to implement, a visible career ladder. Restaurant employees see their roles as temporary because there are no structured growth plans. Line cooks and prep cooks burn out when advancement feels invisible. When there's no answer to the question, where does the job take me in 6 months? Show people where the road goes. A busser becomes a server, a prep cook becomes a line cook, then a sous chef. A server moves into floor manager. Put it in writing, bring it up during onboarding, reference it in performance conversations. And cross-training? Massive retention tool. When employees learn multiple roles, they become more valuable, more invested, and more versatile. They stop feeling like a cog in the machine and start feeling like a professional worth keeping. As a bonus, Cross-trained staff dramatically reduce your vulnerability to callouts. Section 4. Eliminate the operational friction that burns people out. Here is a retention insight that almost never gets talked about. People do not leave restaurants because they dislike hospitality. They leave because every single shift feels harder than it needs to be. Think about what that looks like in practice. A server taking orders on a clunky legacy POS that drops offline during the dinner rush. A line cook staring at a paper ticket system with zero visibility into what's coming next. A manager spending 2 hours every week manually building a schedule in a spreadsheet. This friction compounds every shift, every week, every month. Here's what the data says. Restaurants that adopted scheduling software saw employee retention improve by 25%. Not because the software paid people more, because it removed the daily chaos that was grinding them down. Modern kitchen display systems, mobile POS on devices your staff already own, AI scheduling tools, automated payroll. These do not just save the operator time and money. They make your team's work life less miserable. And that matters more than most operators realize. Section 5. Build a culture of recognition and actually enforce it. Recognition is cheap. Replacing people who left because they felt invisible is not. 80% of food service workers report feeling overwhelmed by their workload. 1 in 2 say they quit because of burnout. And employees in positive work environments are 68% less likely to leave. The operators winning the retention battle in 2026 are not always paying the highest wages. They are running operations where people feel valued, heard, and respected. That starts with something as simple as a genuine acknowledgement at the end of a hard shift. Train your managers, not just on operations, but on how to lead people. How to give feedback without crushing someone. How to recognize great work publicly. How to handle conflict before it becomes a resignation letter. The one-on-one relationship between a manager and an hourly employee is where restaurant culture lives or dies. A mediocre manager in a well-run system will cost you more in turnover than almost any other operational failure. Section 6. Track your turnover rate like you track food costs. You review food costs every week. You monitor prime costs. You scrutinize labor as a percentage of revenue. But when was the last time you calculated your monthly turnover rate by position? Start tracking it, calculate it monthly, break it down by role, front of house, back of house, management. Track the average tenure of people who leave. Because here is why it matters. If your line cooks are averaging 90 days before they walk, that is a fundamentally different problem than managers averaging 18 months before leaving. Different root causes, different solutions entirely. And the payoff? According to Deloitte research, employers that effectively use data analytics to improve employee retention can reduce turnover costs by up to 30%. What gets measured gets managed. Your turnover rate is no different from any other number on your P&L. Section 7. Catch warning signs before someone quits. By the time an employee submits their notice, the decision was made weeks earlier. You just did not see it coming. But the signals are always there. No-shows and last-minute call-outs surge when disengagement sets in. Punctuality slips. Upselling drops because staff have stopped investing emotional energy in the guest experience. Frequent shift swap requests often signal burnout. Build a habit of short, regular check-ins with your team, not just annual reviews. Genuine conversations. How are you doing? What is frustrating you? What would make your shift easier? That is not soft management. This is intelligence gathering that lets you intervene before a great employee walks. One fast-growing sandwich chain recently rolled out a digital pulse survey across all locations, giving district and regional managers real-time data on engagement across every shop. The result? Transformed coaching, better communication, and measurable retention improvements. You do not need enterprise software to replicate this. A simple anonymous weekly check-in can surface issues early enough to act on them. The point is to build the habit of listening before the exit interview is your only data point. So let's bring it all together. 7 strategies, all of them operational, all of them actionable starting this week. Fix the schedule, understand why people are leaving, map a career path, remove the friction, build a recognition culture, track turnover like you track food costs, and catch the warning signs early. The restaurants winning the staffing battle in 2026 are not necessarily paying the most. They are making daily work easier, fairer, and more predictable, and giving people a reason to build a career instead of just collect a paycheck. If you want to go deeper on the data and tactics behind every one of these strategies, the full written guide is linked in the description below. Completely free, no sign up required. And if you already looked at the scheduling, labor analytics, and workforce tools that make a lot of this possible, HubPlate runs everything on a flat $99 a month per location. No transaction fees, no hardware costs, no nonsense. Check it out at hubplate.app. If this video helped you, hit subscribe. We put out practical, operator-focused content every week. Drop a comment below with your biggest staffing challenge you are dealing with right now. I read every single one. See you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.